early on, at least, either on and Wink or YSKM. I think that'll dictate a lot of what IG are looking for, because we don't see them typically go for non-aggressive bot lanes if they are going to go opt into it in first phase. We actually see the Gragas, so a little bit of flexibility here, at least for IG, as Dove has played it, but we've also seen Gideon be very fine on that champion.
Yeah, interesting, right? Because even Biubiu and Heng, but have only both played it once, so I'm surprised such a high priority on the Gragas pick. Now looking at WE, a bot laner will come out here, whether... I mean, so many pairs are still open, right? You can go like the Zeri Lulu, the Lucian Nami still open, Varus with, you know, whatever random, you know, either marksman or other support they want to put with them. But it looks like for WE, they are going to try and get Hope onto the Zeri pick. So it seems like for WE, it's going back to what we talked about before the game started, right? That it's not always about the 2v2 lane for them. It's about being able to be that consistent source of damage later on.
We're back. We're back to normal. There's no more craziness. It's the Lucian and Nami for On and Wink, fitting to their style of that kind of aggressive point. But as you said, WE playing to their style, Hope on a late game hyper scary is all you really need, because it is scary. And then I want to see what this kind of last pick is. I would expect something in the jungle for Heng, get something out of the way here and focus on the solo lanes in the second phase. But maybe that isn't the case.
I'm really surprised. I mean, 4 jungle bans already. Gragas, I mean, again, can be thrown into that jungle role, so it's even technically a 5th one off the board. So things like Wukong still being up, maybe as IG, you look to pinch that role, take that away. And then when looking at, like, AD jungle options, there really aren't many left. I mean, hell, if you take away, like, Wukong and then... I don't even Poppy, because Lee Sin's off the table. Like, really, what else is there going to be for the side of WE?
Do you like the Gragas matchup into the Ryze? Because I feel like he can just be such a pain as he goes to Realm Orb. You just cast him over. That's a little like minute interaction.
Gragas to me has always been one of my favorite champions to like put in solo lanes. Obviously top for a long time, but there's just so many matchups that it feels like Gragas has a fine time against most champions. Like, unless you're going up against something egregious, you know, things like the Vaynes, the Quins of the world, that you'll have a fine time just farming with your Qs. You have a lot of, like, mobility and escape tools. And like you said, I guess, like, specifically if it did end up mid, yeah, having that cast to go and try and deny Shanks from making those plays around the map would be quite nice. And I'm actually surprised to see IG not ban away junglers. But I guess that goes to show for WE, taking away the Poppy themselves, that they aren't expecting that Gragas to be flexed into the jungle role. They are expecting it to go to one of the solo lanes, or, you know, potentially Dove for IG.
And obviously now we're kind of looking at how to whittle down some of this matchup potential here. It's just going to be the Scion, so no safe day on the zombie tank up there for Biubiu. And the Renekton obviously taken off the board as well. We'll see what WE opt into here, as they still need their jungle. They still need top lane. Obviously, having that counter pick for top side for more than likely.
Yeah, Wukong, Viego being the 2 that jump out to me. I'm surprised Wukong just going through when other teams have just prioritized it so heavily. Viego already being hovered, so those are the 2 things. But actually going to go for the Xin Zhao. Going to give them a lot of early aggression available. Can combo well if they want to look for early ganks and, you know, put Shanks and Heng together and then look for those roams down the sides. And now looking at where IG want to answer with this, we're going to get to find out where this Gragas is going. If they wanted to go Gragas mid, they always could look at
Call it right now. What do you got?
For jungle.
Where's it going?
We're gonna
I'm saying it's going jungle.
Yeah, I'm going to say Ksante, because Ksante's open. And, oh, no. Huh.
Darn! So all right, well.
They actually are just going to end up going with the Viego.
It is the Viego. That's a lot of single point power there for Gideon as well, and a lot of resets, obviously, for team fights, but needing to get resources is this Viego as well.
And now, I feel like, I was going to say, I feel like they're going to not give this to YSKM. Not a very YSKM champion. They want another carry threat in one of their solo lanes. So most played would be the Fiora, and with Jax not open, it feels like this just would be the go-to blind pick to come out for him. So they lock it in, giving themselves some side lane pressure. And now looking at WE with where they can respond. I don't want to see this.
I think this is okay if you're looking for a team fight potential there at least, but I would wonder if you're trying to get a little bit of dueling strength in that side lane, because at this point, you're not really going to have an option to deal with YSKM later on. We do see the Ksante locked in.
Yeah, so for WE, they're just saying, hey, we don't really care about that matchup. Biubiu's going to do just fine. We are playing for the 5v5. We very early on showed we're going for that with Hope and Lwandy locking in the Lulu and the Zeri. So they're keeping it pretty standard. A lot of WE's early progression is going to have to come from Shanks and Heng and what they're able to do, especially Heng. We need to keep our eyes out on him, having the strong dueling potential of a Zhao, where it feels like IG have a lot more potential pressure options in their lanes. Having the Fiora and top side, that should do quite well. And then, of course, the Lucian Nami's going to want to be very aggressive. And then you kind of have this mitigating force in mid lane of Dove. I feel like really just trying to prevent the Ryze from being able to find an impact on the map and allow those strong side lanes to be able to get work done in those isolated matchups.
I'm definitely looking at Gideon on the Viego here to try and get that cohesion with the team earlier on. Then later, obviously, WE relying a lot of those late game baskets to put their eggs into. But it is kind of the bane of IG now to get those proactive plays going and find a way to get some leads around and make it easier to play around the map itself.
Mazel, tell me, what is the difference between a late game basket and an early game basket? What are the physical traits?
The early game baskets are smaller. They can only fit a couple more eggs because as time goes by, the weaves get bigger and the baskets start to hold a little bit larger of eggs because, you know, the late game eggs are a lot bigger than the early game eggs.
Would you say
was that what you were looking for?
Are they like the eggs in like Willy Wonka? Like, you know, like
yeah,
the
I mean,
eggs?
whatever you want them to be. Are they chocolate covered eggs? Are they just painted eggs? I mean, whatever you want. But they can be anything you desire, as the egg that I desire is to hit the rift for game number 1 here of IG versus WE. Can IG put themselves at 8 wins tonight and me that step closer to the playoffs, while WE trying to put them in their place and put themselves a little bit closer to that clump we have building?
WE's home arena of Xi'an. We got to see all the WE fans, and now the IG side is, you know, always love that our middle tier teams, and I guess for WE and IG, I mean, both of these have been top organizations in the past, so this isn't as weird as like when we actually get to see like AL and Ultra Prime and all these orgs who actually have fan bases that show up, but still always nice to see. But coming onto the Rift,
TT fans go strong, just saying.
I love the TT fans. Me and you, that's us. We're the TT fans.
Yeah. But as we do look at it, I do want to point out we have opposite side starts, obviously, for these junglers. I would like to see actually Gideon take this bottom side and do that kind of classic wraparound gank towards bottom lane, maybe get something in an early pass for On and Wink.
I think it can be quite hard. I want to see what, because Hope and Lwandy, looks like they're going to elect to go try and find a heavy trade at level 1. So that actually might even open up for the opportunity for Gideon to be able to do something like that. If not, and if they went for a more passive start, that option probably wouldn't be there. But we've already highlighted for IG, it's a lot about what they can get done in this 2v2 and that 1v1 in top side, really soul lane oriented. To where for WE, we're looking more at Heng and what he's able to influence as a jungler. Gideon, I think, going to be a lot more, you know, forgiven to just look for the clear, get level 6, play for those resets later on in skirmishes. But a lot of that's going to still have to come from On and Wink. On going to have to really set up a lot of that burst damage to make sure that Gideon's able to do anything to follow up to get those resets.
And I always have to keep a side eye on the Gragases on the map, but especially Dove here. I think they can have a nice combo and a Shanks early on and try to punish mid lane, maybe use some of that pressure out. But that's exactly the key, right? We're waiting for IG to find some pressure onto the map and utilize it to some extent. Once we get to those level 6s, once we get to those marks. And I think we will just, at this point, see the full clears going on both sides, and we'll just have ourselves a nice little time here. Are you doing okay with the early game egg baskets, Lear? Is everything okay?
Yeah, we're
okay. So
far we are just chilling. But I actually really like one thing that you pointed out, right, which is the potential gank setup on mid from IG. When we said, hey, WE mid jungle is where they should be strong, but Shanks being on an immobile mid laner, I mean, you have the CC there from Gragas to set up for Gideon to be able to come in, so that's an avenue for IG, which WE probably want to play around. Like, if you think that that's a possibility, looking for counter ganks is Hung and trying to play around that can be really strong, but that's only if Shanks opens himself up to it, because Shanks are doing a great job of recalling and getting an early control ward around mid lane to try to prevent opportunities like that from rearing their head.
Yeah. The sweet siren call of top lane noodle fight brings Gideon's attention up there for just a moment. Just going to take his Cuddle Crab while hovering at least. Actually going to go for a bit of a potential continuation on this, but should just get the back off.
Probably just going to go for the recall here and make sure that Heng wasn't going to look for any shenanigans in top lane himself. Heng's actually on the opposite side of the map, and getting some great vision towards bot side. Like, look at it, just completely littered with WE wards, but still. The problem is with these lane matchups, it really doesn't open up too many opportunities to just present themselves through like sheer brute forcing ganks.
Now, we do have a Dragon coming up in 45 seconds, but we got a bot lane fight right now. With Clips being burned on both, or at least on the heals on both sides. But Gideon, right around the corner here, will be spotted out once he comes into lane.
W's bot lane is going to back up in time. As you pointed out, though, Summoners blown on both sides. Everything except the flashes being taken off the table. So that's going to be feeling, I think, especially good for the side of IG when you have the Nami who can still, you know, sustain up the Lucian as compared to Lwandy, just really providing those shields and being able to mitigate that damage outright. So, but mana low coming out from IG's bot lane really going to be the thing, I think, squandering them from finding that potential. And that was one of our things coming in, right? Biubiu?
Biubiu, that's a flash. YSKM, he can't get it. Almost goes down to the tower shots as the trades in top lane continue. Your point, though, Lear?
Remember, coming in, we're like, hey, On and Wink have been an aggressive duo on bot lane. It's been looking for those trades. Can Hope and Lwandy match or outdo them? And so far, I mean, they're doing just fine.
And so far, so good. But actually, it looks like WE will take advantage of some of those trades to actually take the Dragon here early on. And for WE, I feel like that's actually a huge advantage. Oh, he's moving away from it. Maybe it was just a little bit of vision. But I was actually going to say, if WE go for these early objectives, obviously that's playing into the hand that they've dealt for themselves. But I was actually looking at IG try to get something there as they needed to be proactive, but aren't able to get that pressure in the lanes yet.
Yeah, big thing is even if WE don't necessarily be the ones to start just outright stacking Drakes, like either getting the first or getting some early Drakes, even now where as long as you can make sure IG aren't able to get bot pressure and do anything, you're just going to delay how long the game goes, give time for that Zeri to get incredibly strong, and get to a point of power where I feel like WE should be favored just because, again, in like recent years, just the strength of like 5v5 scaling as compared to like having the Fiora and being able to pressure sides and move first feels like it is outweighed by the 5v5 a little bit. So I think it's been a good call, as we've seen for IG trying to put more focus up towards top side with Gideon. But when you have this Ksante, Biubiu's playing incredibly safe around his turret, knows what's going on. It just opens up more opportunities for WE to play towards the spot side of the map.
Speaking of those opportunities, it'll be that first Dragon going to WE. So at least stacking themselves, but as you said, delaying the inevitable here of the scaling comp and not giving over any early additions to an early focus competition. But should be IG just kind of licking their wounds at the moment. Not no wounds, I guess, on the table, but some of the macro decisions not going their way. But I love to see some of this movement now. We've gotten a little bit of that give and take in mid lane, but I need to see Dove getting out of lane and getting involved with Gideon.
They're not wounds. IG are at that point that, like,
scratches?
You know, people with migraines know this. You know, like, if you get migraines, there's like a period before the migraine where you can feel it. You're like, my God, I know,
it's coming.
The pain isn't there yet, but you start to get that like fuzzy feeling in your head. So that's where IG. Actually, IG aren't even at that point yet. I feel like we're making this sound a lot more dire than it is. But I guess if there was any analogy, it would be that.
There you go. I've never experienced that, so hoping to continue that streak of never experiencing that. And
you know, the pre-migraine not too bad. The migraine is the rough part.
Is there like a post-migraine too, or is
kind of?
There's two phases.
The post-migraine is that you're happy it's over and that you aren't wishing that life just stops anymore. As Mazel.
I've never had one of those like crazy migraines. Oh, Biubiu not being able to get his back off here though. Dove is getting connected with Gideon. My goodness, look what happens when you get a little bit of cohesion. The cast comes through. First blood to IG.
Even, I mean, going for the recall on the ward gives time for the other members of IG to start making their way over. I feel like Biubiu should have been a little more mindful with the fact that the Dove wasn't showing in mid anymore. Maybe, I don't know, lack of communication from Shanks, that he had disappeared because I believe the wave had already been killed by both sides. Now WE realizing something went awry top, wanting to find something in bot lane with Heng heading down.
Isn't it crazy how the armor can flip sides so quickly, as they will look for this dive. They have level 6s. Wink lacking his, though. That is a big difference. No tidal wave will make this a lot more difficult to defend. They will get the TP, though. 4 members strong of WE. Lightning crashes. A lot of AoE damage coming in. Tidal wave has been utilized. as On getting poked by Hope because of his teammates, but that TP from Dove actually changes the state of the bot lane.
Makes it so no dive's able to come through, but you're still able to get a TP out from the Gragas. So, you know, you'll take those small wins when Shanks can potentially get back to lane faster.
Womp,
and there's
womp.
what we talked about, Biubiu recalling on the ward. And no, actually, there was a wave in mid at this time. So, I mean, Shanks could have been like, hey, you know, the Gragas isn't here. Maybe they assumed he was just going for a reset. And even if he isn't rotating up right, you would still die to just Gideon moving over. But I feel like that could be one of those inklings that like, hey, you know, we don't know where jungle is. Mid laners and showing. There can be some sort of party heading up towards that top side. As apparently the party never stops.
It never stops. As the bounce house will continue to visit Biubiu as the grand challenge has been popped. Should be Biubiu getting away from that one. Bot lane, there was an attempted gank yet again from Heng. Very opposite side focuses from these teams. And 2 plates already, almost 3 going down to WE.
Yeah, look at that. Building up a big CS advantage so far, denying waves from On, who just was like, I can't get into this anyway. Goes for the reset to try to get some more items under his belt. So plates going over, CS lead. And for WE, I mean, this is where you want your advantage, right? You want it on the Zeri coming through, where for like IG, again, it feels great to get YSKM ahead. He's going to be able to have an influence. But it just feels like you aren't going to be able to
Nami, man, why aren't you visiting bot lane?
It feels like you aren't going to be able to opt into those 5v5s in the same way. A lot of it's going to be finding these picks and sides around YSKM, or him using his pressure to like move over first and maybe use that small window to find a pick onto Hope or Shanks to get something going for IG.
Yeah, I just thought with some of that early pushing and a lot of the presence bot lane, IG might change kind of their direction here, but it's been full committal to the top lane for YSKM and Gideon, and really just letting On and Wink kind of bear the brunt of that bot side. Now we will see a little bit of love given as another dragon spawning in 50 seconds. Some priority bot lane could help IG secure their first neutral. Or second, I guess. Woo, no, a little bit. There's there's that first neutral they got. That's the Rift bot lane. So they do get some gold. Would you believe it?
We'll get a little bit, but still, I'm really going to be able to do anything with this. We can see Heng and Lwandy. Shanks out coming in.
Realm warp coming in. Shanks dodging out of the bubble there. Won't be able to find the prison onto On.
Yeah, we saw Heng and Lwandy hovering towards mid, giving Shanks an easier time to just clear that wave and giving him more freedom to look to move over. Dragon coming up in 15 seconds. So WE wanting to angle for this.
Gideon getting engaged on. That's a Crescent Guard used. The Heartbreaker already popped as well. Tidal Wave back. This Dove coming means Heng needs to back away. Actually gets a nice Wind Becomes Lightning there to get some damage back. And now WE maybe in position to do this Dragon here.
Yeah, gonna at least pull it out for now. They need to be careful. Dove gonna have to go back to answer midway. But yeah, the big difference still just being the spot lane. The fact that Hope being able to send that wave back in and giving them first move. Looks like WE just wanted to transition back down. And like you said, for IG, we're going to see if Gideon can do anything to match here, because he went for the reset, coming back down towards his bottom lane. His red buff is up, but maybe even just starting to hover at first to make sure that no shenanigans go on. And On and Wink, once again, aren't zoned off from their turret, losing waves, giving over plates to WE.
I want to see this Divine Sunder spike be utilized for IG. They got a little bit of that completion now for them, while Biubiu on the other side of the map has his Frostfire Gauntlet. I want to see IG try to get at least a kill on Gideon here, and maybe use some of this pushing from bot lane WE to do that.
It's very hard, though, because, I mean, you still don't have the first item spikes coming out for your bot lane, which is really the strong part of the combo. You look at Vision, it's still in favor of WE around bot side with those 2 control wards. Or, I guess now 1 control ward. It looks like Dove just cleared one out. And then still a normal ward is Gideon. Gonna look for now, Mazel.
Bubble doesn't connect. They don't have the culling. Gideon's just going to force the play around the side. The Divine Sunder spike. Is it enough? No, it's not, because Hope says the lightning has crashed in your face. I'm going to shoot you back, as now he flashes. Oh, it goes down, and Hope! That's the summer champion ADC we know and love.
Hope and Lwandy clapping On and Wink in this game. Still just able to sit in this lane freely, whittling them down, taking these plates. They've been given the resources, and they have been delivering.
They are just pelting a 3v2 down here. And Hope alive and well, even without an item spike here on the Zeri. They get the first tower here, no doubt.
Yeah, they're doing fine. You can even see on the mini-map, like, Shanks stealing away Raptors, Hung around, just doing everything to choke out this bottom half of the map. Not going to be able to get the reset come out. You know their Mythic's going to come on through. We're going to go into the replay. Wanting to come on to Hope. Great lightning crashdown, and On was already taken so low, able to go forward, and then just constantly chasing him down the
That weird step from On. That was so awkward.
And then getting taken down by Hope. Beautiful play coming out. Not really having too much CC on the side of IG to even try to set up the gank that they were looking for. You pointed out that the bubble missing just like seconds before Gideon had even gotten down there. That really only leaves you with Wink's ultimate left.
Yeah, and as we see, it didn't go their way. Now we do get first items pretty much completed across the board. Obviously, Wink maybe reminiscing a little bit about getting some more of that gold, but we'll see that transition of bot lanes to mid, so a little bit more cohesion here that will honestly help WE with what they've gotten already, and they'll go straight in onto the line here. Crescent Guard did get used, the cask as well, so a couple ultimates traded back and forth.
Yeah, 2 flashes also going through, Hung going in and then Wink having to get away. IG wouldn't use the fact that they have Prio on top side to be able to take this Herald, but WE don't necessarily want to give this up for free. Biubiu needs to come faster though if they want to look for this pinch.
They're going to try to pull behind. They've already gotten the engage here on the Hung. He did get tidal wave. Lightning crashes from Hope though, and Wink's already out of the fight pretty much. They're running away from Hope, but he's just running them down. Dove is on the wrong side of town. The Ultra Shock laser doesn't connect, but the Realm Warp will get Shanks a delivery to Gideon, and it's death. As On will be chased down by Lwandy, and everybody's getting a little bit of love here from WE, and that is a big lead, 3,000 at 15.5 minutes.
4 kills go over, and YSKM says, I'm out, boys. TP's right down to the bottom lane. WE crushing the rest of IG. They get 4 kills, they get a turret, they're picking up a Rift Herald, and yeah, they've just been doing a great job of enabling their carries to succeed. We're going to see your Dove going in. They're wanting to use the window before Biubiu can get here to do something, but the crash down is massive. Shanks playing off on the side, delivering DPS the whole time as well. And then we see here Hope and Shanks just able to run them down. Sadly, the laser doesn't connect with the Realm Warp coming in. Gideon goes, and then On just nowhere to run, getting pinched on from multiple angles. Everything going the way of WE. That small window not able to be utilized. WE already just feeling too strong.
The thing I didn't put 2 and 2 together with was just the amount of bouncing AoE that WE have in a close-knit team fight like we just saw, right? You were talking about Shanks putting in damage there, and I thought a majority came from the Lightning Crash AoE, but it was both hitting and bouncing across the entire team the whole time. So definitely something IG need to think about coming into these next fights. They finally do have their bot lane power spike of the 1 item. See if they can utilize that.
The hard thing we look at for IG is it really feels like it's about like singling out members of WE. I don't know how if they're ever in a formation like that between like Hung's ultimate, Biubiu frontlining the shields and wild growth from Lwandy, like how you're going to be able to burst out targets when most of your damage is indexed into burst, right? That it's going to have to be down to singling someone out, and we can see them trying now with Dove was just hovering over towards YSKM, but that's really the only angle they can get it from, right? Is playing around YSKM, trying to exploit someone overstepping in a side lane. Without that, you don't really have too many tools, especially when WE are ahead. They have map control. They're the ones who can aggressively push forward and get better vision control set up.
It's a third dragon for WE. So we were saying, hey, you don't need to get every dragon. You just get 1, stop the scam. Well, you know what? They said they want all of them. And I think that IG will need to find something, at least in these picks that you were talking about. But anytime you show up to an objective, that's going to be WE's. And they still have a Rift Herald available for them, so they can try to knock down at least the top outer, as we see a lot of focus coming up here from WE.
Running up now to try to punish YSKM, but IG answering in response. So nothing ended up coming out with both teams being up here, but WE are still fine. With just a neutral map state, WE are going to stay in the lead. Do we have a cheeky brush play, Mazel?
Scary.
I do love myself some cheeky brush plays.
IG say, we don't want none of that. We're going to move out, and you can have all the vision you want. But I do expect this wrap back up towards the top side. Try to get this down, the side lane open up a little bit. They'll use the Rift Herald over the wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, this could be punished if they don't push forward aggressively, but that is exactly what they're going to do, so they're going to guarantee this one. I want to see if they stay. They will. Okay, good. Like, actually try and get a charge off from the Herald, and don't just give that one over. As we're going to see now. I don't expect an engage to come out from IG. Shanks can still join up at any time with the Realm Warp.
Oh my god! Heng!
He's gone!
He's gone! Gideon got the reset! Now IG, they get the tidal wave. They don't catch anybody with it. That's one of the picks that you needed. The charge did go through, but IG, they find something.
I'm surprised they had enough damage to take him down that quickly. I thought he would at least be able to buy enough time before Shanks would potentially be able to join, and that would dissuade IG from going in, but a little too disconnected from the other members of WE. Lwandy not able to shield him, not able to give him wild growth to be able to buy more time. So for IG, you'll take that every day of the week. It's now on, picking up the second item. Lord Dominic's coming through.
Gotta see this damage.
Yeah, and because a lot of it, and there's no way this just came from Gideon, right? Lucian having to do a fair burn of the work is on here. Goes in, okay, yeah, we see Pearson Light comes out.
It's literally all on.
It's all on. Is Gideon really getting to take the credit, so... Reset able to come out. Had they been able to push for more, that would have been huge. But again, for IG, you'll take those small wins any day of the week.
Yeah. You get the second item now as well for On. He got the Lord Dom second. You realize he's going against very tanky members. Just need to be able to do some of that damage in those front to backs if they are going to come that way. Gideon just trying to get as much back on the map here. We have Baron up. A lot of vision from WE around it. I think that's been a big point to this game has been WE's vision control and kind of information gathering.
And it's always crazy to see like disparities like this where again WE have been kept up their vision control from like minute 3 in the game where they've had full information on. What IG have done is Shanks quite some good damage, but you're right. I really feel like it has been down to this control, and IG gonna have to try and fight for opportunities to get it like we see now. You can see other members of WE having to answer on the weak side of the map for the pushing waves that YSKM put in, and these are your windows to try to find something. We said for IG, it's about isolating members, finding those picks like we saw happen to Heng in the jungle. So you're gonna have to really be relying on just slight oversteps and then On to be the one to burst them out. You don't have a ton of CC, but you still have enough between the Gragas, the Nami, to be able to make things happen.
Now, at some point, I do feel like YSKM becomes a problem. It just is, to what extent does that stop WE from doing what they're doing? Because you can just force IG into these big objective fights and make YSKM kind of irrelevant. But I am wondering, is there a precipice here for IG where YSKM really does become that win condition?
I think the problem is, like, WE are already on soul point with, like, you know, next Drake coming up in a minute with 23 minutes in the game. And then, like, it'll be Elder. Like, you can't just ignore Elder as IG, so... Had they not given over so many early Drakes, I feel like IG could have been putting a lot more heat on WE with the side lane pressure, but it doesn't feel like it'll be all too relevant in this game, just with the fact that, like you said, it's going to be so easy for WE to pull IG into these 5v5s.
Yeah, I think WE are perfectly fine with that. I mean, we have Dragon up at about 35 seconds here. See if anybody's able to complete anything beforehand. Really looking at Dove to try to get that second item. It doesn't look like that will be the case. YSKM push off the side, and IG hesitant, but moving forward with some vision set up here. And Hope getting engaged on over the wall, but he puts some damage right back into On. That's not what you like to see getting ready for a team fight when Hope is ready and raring to go. Yeah,
now YSKM going to TP in himself. WE having control of Ripper so far, and look how hard it is to just walk into this WE comp. Especially once Hope gets involved in this and starts putting down the damage like we saw before. It'll be tremendously hard, but Gideon trying to find an opportunity to wrap around.
Yeah, a little bit of a setup here on the Biubiu, but IG will need to close the trap, and YSKM can't get caught out like that. They're going under Shanks on the other side, though. Can YSKM buy enough time? Shanks flashes away, and YSKM has gone down. It is a 4v5 IG pull away, and this will be Dragon Soul to WE.
The collapse is so much easier able to come from the side of WE than it is from IG getting one. We even saw the Ryze, like, look at Dove's health, even chunked into half just before all of that happened, and was doing a fine job dealing with that 3-man core from IG. The flash manages so he gets away. So now Soul picked up for WE. We're now going to be playing the dance around Baron, so it's going to be even harder for YSKM to want to try and put more pressure in that 1v1. So yeah, for IG, it feels like it's just getting worse and worse as time goes on, despite the fact that WE haven't really been able to increase their gold lead. Like, IG have been at this minus 3K for the past like 10 minutes.
Pretty much. And we'll look at the plan from IG, trying to split the fight here, but YSKM just goes a little bit too far.
Yeah, this was YSKM trying to run down and put damage on Biubiu. I guess wanting to coordinate with the fact that your other members are trying to get on top of Ryze right there, but it feels like the push and pull could have been a little bit better, like you said. Going a little bit too far forward. The rest of IG not able to completely even lock down Shanks. Hadn't even gotten his flash yet, so for IG getting a little bit overzealous. And it just goes back to like forcing your way into these positions when WE already have so much control is so incredibly hard. And I feel like we've seen time and time again how much Hope and Shanks are able to like whittle down one member if IG even opt into isolated trades before an objective happens.
And I'm just saying, Hope is playing like a bat out of hell right now. He knows he can get out of there. He knows he's got teammates right behind him, but the confidence that is just oozing from this WE bot lane right now is looking real nice. Obviously, the Zeri helps in that fashion, but we got to see that damage potential come to a head here, and IG get a bit of a flank from Gideon. They go on to Hope. He gets knocked back, though. The engage has failed from IG. They need to try to get something back, but look at Hope. He's just firing away right now. He's untouched in the middle of his turtle shell, and nobody can get to WE. The turtle shell will not crack, and IG have busted their face on the shell.
And now for WE, just going to continue to barrel down, take these structures. They're going to be able to get a Baron off this, and it just seems like this is WE's day. Realm Warp in, and the objective's going to be theirs.
Little bit of home field advantage coming alive here. Maybe it's the crowd, maybe it's just the air tonight. The WE looking good in game one against IG, where we said, IG, this was an important matchup for you. Try to get one step closer to that playoff match. WE, they want that clump. They want to get themselves to that 6 series win, at least starting off good. And that engage going wide is where it all started going wrong, Lear.
Yeah, Hope able to dodge out on it. Like you said, he's left untouched. Look at him this whole time putting off these autos. And for Biubiu, great job absorbing a lot of damage. Like Heng's going to go down, but on putting himself in such a predicament to kill a support. And it just leads to WE being able to continue to chase down the members of IG. Hope doing some great parkour there, just to be able to dodge out on everything that IG are hoping to throw at him.
Hey, you don't need a spicy intro. You can just be the kind guy and show it on the rip. 5-0-2, 3-item spike now. And this Baron buff for 2 more minutes. WE trying to put some lasting damage, at least, onto the base of IG here with the inhib tower. Getting oh so low in mid lane. Dove's looking for a bit of a flank over here.
Gonna see if he's able to find it. I don't believe it, though, is WE very much looking like the Power Rangers. And if you watch the Power Rangers pretty much never lose. You know, there might be an episode where they go down. There's a cliffhanger at the end, but in the next one they come back.
Who's the evil traitor Power Ranger? Who's going to come? Oh, my God! Oh, no! Everybody's just falling apart here. And we said they busted their face on the turtle shell. Well, they just got decapitated with it because IG have nothing left to say in game number 1. A 10,000 gold lead. Everything going the way of WE. And it might just be home field advantage here as they take game 1 of our best of 3.
Yeah, great performance coming out for WE. Again, just looking so cohesive. They came in with an easy game plan to be able to play around. Very straightforward composition, enabling their strengths. It seems like for WE realizing that, hey, you know, we talked about how for the side of IG, they probably can play aggressive, but regardless of that, for IG, it typically is about putting resources into that top side, right? Trying to get YSKM ahead and then leaving that opening in bot. And Hope and Lwandy were already doing well in the 2v2. We saw they playing around the fact that IG's bot lane leash level 1. They get themselves control of the wave first. They're getting all of their vision control set up there from very early on. And then it's like, hey, we have this good thing going for us in Hope and Lwandy. Let's just continue to double, triple down on this. And
buy 5
it paid
tickets
dividends
to that train.
Yeah, it paid dividends.
I don't even need them. I got extra seats for days. It was an interesting early game path, I feel like, from Gideon, and maybe a lot of things they want to kind of pull back from that as well. I love that focus early to try and give a quick stop up to YSKM, but how did we not see any ganks or any help at least bot lane? I know it's difficult, but if you can get one kill on a Lucian, that changes that bot lane a lot. So it was interesting to see kind of the early game pathing from IG, but Gideon specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like part of it just comes down to like going with that Viego over again, we highlighted maybe whether he gone something like a Wukong or something else that has like an easier time, because we said even the YG's comp, I mean, like you have Bubble, you have the Tidal Wave, you have like the Body Slam from Gragas, even Viego, I guess technically brings his own CC, though I feel like it typically should be used as more of like a follow-up rather than an engage. It didn't feel like you had any like really great ways to set off these picks, especially when we saw like Wink throwing out bubbles, missing early on, and then not having a lot to work with when, I mean, Zeri, Lulu, so much mobility between this spot lane. So
and you're giving it to Hope. Like, you're just asking for it at that point.
And right, when you think about Hope, like Hope being one of the best ADCs in the LPL, you know, in the regular season and things like playoffs last year, maybe not having the best time at Worlds, but you know what? We'll give him a pass. Still a very like young player. But all of that was in the meta of the Zeri. Things like this. When you go back to 2020, think of a stint on EDG, it was like these team fighting AD carries, his positioning being able to work out well, that made him such a menace from day one.